Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Would you like to sample some of my nuts?
You can lift your weights, you can run your miles, but you ain't got what's been earned through trials. It ain't in the gym, ain't in the youth, it's in busting knuckles and hard-lived truth. Back's been sore since 99, but I still stack wood and I still outgrind. Call me slow, call me old, but I got hands that could bend pure gold. Ain't about muscle, ain't about speed, it's about the fire when the time comes to lead. You can talk real tough, you can flex real wide, but when it's time to dig in, boys, step aside. Old man strength, built to last, years of work, no need for class. Ain't no quit, ain't no doubt, you don't know tough till you've been worn out.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Old Man Strength, brought to you from the AKC Andrew Downs Marketing Studio and sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company, Green Beret Realty with Dan Douglas, and Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. I'm your host, Chris Shipley, joined as always with my buddy Aaron Wall. Aaron, what's up today, man?
Well, let me tell you how fucking old I am.
Okay.
So we went on a small mini vacation because this past week has been my daughter's spring break. And I was trying to teach her. We were on the Washington coast, the ocean. And I was trying to teach her how to skip rocks. Tons of perfectly smooth, flat rocks to skip rocks, right?
Yep.
A little more difficult when you're talking about skipping it into the ocean waves, but
Sure.
you can still do it. And I threw 4 or 5, and it was a fine. And then we were like, okay, time to go. And she's like, one more. And I went and winged one, and I think I threw my shoulder out into the ocean with the rock. And so, like, the last week since we got back, my shoulder's it's just been angry. And it's like, you're not 27 anymore, you dumb shit. You know? So that's how old I am right now.
And no golf. I'm sure your shoulder's shot, so you're not playing any golf.
No, I haven't played. I played a couple days before we went on the trip. I played, and I've been out a couple times this year so far. But no, I'll probably try to go this week to the range and see how it feels, and before I try to really crank it up again.
Well, at least you have a legit reason that your shoulder hurts. Mine just hurts because I lay wrong on it in bed. That's the reason why mine hurts so bad.
Well, don't lay like that.
Well, I have to sleep on my side. It's a whole thing. I can't.
As Bob Newhart would have said on some skit or something he did, don't do that.
Fair advice, I guess. Can I say? Oh man, it's been a busy couple weeks around here. So Jordan is moving out tomorrow. He's moving to his host home. Of course, we had Size House Trivia. Thank you, Aaron, for hooking me up with Size House Trivia. That was a good time last night.
I just got lucky to happen to see somebody had one available.
Yeah, I paid that guy this morning, and he was like, I'm going to try to get back next year, but if I can't get back, it's yours. So,
nice.
So it sounds like we've got at least a partial deal that if he can't make it every year, I'll have an opportunity. So
good.
Yeah, it's a good deal. All right, well, we're going to bring on our guest now. Our guest is, he's well known in Iowa, well known in the Midwest. He's done shows in Las Vegas, and he's got connections all over the country. He's the best crowd work comedian that I've seen live or on TV. Of course, he's a co-host of our other podcast on the Three Beards Media Network, Bill and Willie's Workshop, which is completely off the rails 95% of the time. But I'm super excited to learn the background story and some of the things that I don't know about our guests. So we're going to welcome tonight Willie Farrell.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Because I accidentally touched my microphone and the light went on and off, and I don't know. I'm old, so it's funny, Aaron. You're talking about being old. You could be my son, so that just shows you how old I am. But I'm amazed. I even can figure this out. It's funny when Chris calls me and says, because he gave me all this equipment. I've got the computer and a microphone, and every time I actually get on and talk to anybody, it's like a miracle. It's seriously a miracle that I'm talking to you guys right now. So
I try to make it as easy as possible.
I know, but I'm sitting in my office right now, and I have this on my phone. I got the Cubs Dodgers game, and then I for some reason I've also got Spider Solitaire on my other computer. So I'm good to go.
You're way more tech savvy than any other.
But I don't know how I'm doing this. It's funny when I talk about, like, me and my daughter were laughing the other day that every once in a while I'll go out to Costco out in Jordan Creek.
Yeah.
But I swear to Christ, I don't know how I get there. I do not. I drive and I'll get on certain roads. But if you were to say, what roads do you take to get there? How do you get there? Not a fucking clue. I just know that eventually I end up at Costco. And that's the same way with this. I don't know how I bought a TV from Costco the other day, and I brought it home, and I just started hitting buttons, and somehow I got on DirecTV, but I have no idea how I did it. My life is nothing but a miracle, one after another. So.
Maybe you don't always end up at the same Costco. Maybe there's such a proliferation.
Hey, you know what?
That no matter where you go, you end up at Costco.
That's the absolute chance that has actually happened. I don't know. I just go through life, and I'm that guy. I go through life, just keep pushing buttons. When you get to be my age, just keep pushing buttons, turn shit on and off a lot, and then eventually you'll get to where you got to go.
He's driving through Ankeny, sees the Costco in Ankeny. He's like, "Holy shit! I didn't know we were over at Jordan Creek."
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just happy to be. Oh, hey, the Cubs just hit a home run. They went up 3-2. Okay, so we're good.
So let me ask you do a lot of traveling, and you're clearly not tech savvy. So I'm going to ask you, still print out the paper tickets, or do you actually use a mobile pass?
My wife's got me onto the new level, but I was the print out the paper ticket. First of all, I take that back. I don't print out because I don't know how to work the fucking printer. So I don't know how to print out the paper tickets. My wife was the one print out, and finally she says, "We don't need to do that anymore. We got shit on our phone." So that's so. And she'll send it to me, and I end up with it on my phone. I'm just thrilled to be able to do that. I love getting on a plane and taking my phone and going beep like that. I get half a fatty every time I do it.
I'm telling you, for the longest time, I was a paper ticket guy. I was like, I gotta have my paper ticket.
Well, because you know why? Because it's real. It's there. You can hold on to it. Yeah.
What if my phone doesn't work and I can't get on the plane?
Anything can go bad with the phone. You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still can't. I mean, I was the guy that kept pictures. I like pictures of my daughter and pictures of everything. And finally, she said, "You can keep it on the phone." I said, "No, because Daddy sometimes leaves the phone on the plane. Then we don't have that anymore." Then she's saying some shit about a cloud, and then my eyes turn into pinwheels. I have no idea
what anybody's talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Thank God for kids.
Yeah.
I can remember the first time my old man got mobile banking. He could log in and check the bank account. And I'll never forget, I was at his house, and Mom pulled in, and she had just left Target, and he was halfway out the door. "What the fuck did you spend $85 on at Target?"
Yeah.
I mean, she couldn't even get in the house, and she was like, "Oh, fuck this. I am unplugging that son of a bitch."
But I refuse to check that kind of shit because that all that does is make you mad. So I live my life, and I just want to be surprised every day. That's what I do.
So
let's be surprised.
Chris, if your dad was still around, would he have a cell phone yet? Or did he have a cell phone before he?
He had a flip phone, like a flip phone. No, he would not. He would not have a cell phone.
How old would your father be?
Dad was born in 41, so
okay, he was pretty old.
March of 41, so yeah, he'd be.
He's the same age as my dad. My dad was born in October of 42.
Okay, you guys want to feel old? My dad was born in 1908. My dad would be 117 or something like that. My dad was born the last time the Cubs won the World Series before this time. So.
But yeah, my dad doesn't have a cell phone.
Yeah.
Refuses to get a cell phone.
My mom has one. She's 80,
If people want
81.
to get a hold of me, they can call the house. They still have a landline.
Do they really?
You know how hard that is, Willie? Do you know how hard it is to get a regular landline right now?
Well, I mean, only the
It's
people that are supposed
crazy.
to have it are the people that like have heart problems and shit, right? I mean, that's like it's connected to a hospital or something. I don't even know.
My mom is 81. She lives in an assisted living place, and I had to get her a landline because she doesn't use a cell phone. And it was impossible. I had to get like Mediacom internet and then get I couldn't just get a simple Quest phone line installed. Couldn't do it.
My in-laws are 94, 91, still live at home. They have a landline, but the landline's bullshit because all the people in the car are just people that's trying to steal money from my in-laws. So they got a landline, but basically we say don't fucking answer it because I mean my mother-in-law will end up buying a vacuum cleaner or life insurance or something. So stay off of it. Yeah.
So you mentioned your dad. Let's talk a little bit about you grew up on the south side of Des Moines.
Yes,
just like the majority of the Italians on the.
I'll give you the history. My father was actually born in Chicago in 1908. Grew up in an area called the Patch, and this is all stuff that you can Google. And as a child, as a kid, he grew up in the Patch. His closest friends were Sam Gianconin, if you remember the name from the Kennedys, and Sam and Tony Accardo, and these are all mob guys. And so he grew up in the Patch, and as a kid, most kids grow up wanting to do, get in at Hy-Vee or get in. My dad wanted to get in with Al Capone and did. He became a part of Capone's gang as a young man, and worked for Capone all the way up until his 20s, till Capone got sick and got sent away. And then the guy that took over for Capone was a guy named Frank Nitti. And my father in 1939 was sent to Des Moines. Now, the reason he came to Des Moines, there was a guy here already in Des Moines that was part of gambling and liquor and whatever else they were doing. A guy named Charlie Joy. Charlie Cherry Nose Joy is what his name was. Anyway, Charlie got in trouble in 1939, got sent to prison, got out, went to Hollywood, and then decided in the early 40s to come back to Des Moines. At the time, my father was already here. And what happened was Charlie ended up getting shot in Chicago and killed. And my father stayed here in Des Moines. And that's where he met my mother. My mother's mother had a restaurant on the south side. The house still stands. It was called Aunt Jenny's. And it was the place to be in the late 30s, early 40s. That was the restaurant to be. And it was in their house, in my mother's house. Ronald Reagan used to come all the time, Dutch Reagan, when he worked for WHL. And all the celebrities. Well, my father ended up going there because that's where the celebrities were, and that's where the people in Des Moines, so he could make connections. Meets my mother in the early 40s, and they fall in love, and they have 5 children. And my dad decides he likes Des Moines, and stayed here until he eventually died in 1967. But he had his trials and tribulations. He went in front. My father, I believe, was the only gangster that actually went in front of 4 or 5 Senate crime committees. He went in front of Kefauver. He went in front of Capehart. He went in front of McClellan, and there was another one he went in front of. And you can actually Google it. You can go on Google and Google RFK Lou Frado, and you can see Robert Kennedy grilling my father and asking him all kinds of questions. And my dad just repeatedly took the Fifth Amendment. It's one of the funniest things in the world because RFK starts asking him about, did you know this guy? Did you know Jimmy Hoffa? Did you know? And my dad just kept taking the Fifth Amendment. And finally, RFK thought to himself, I'll ask him easy questions. At least he'll answer them. And he asked him, were you a boxer as a child? And my dad was. That's how my dad got his nickname, from Lou Frado to Lou Farrell. And my dad wouldn't even answer that question. And it's pretty interesting. So, that was my dad. Lived here in Des Moines and died of cancer in 1967. And I was 11 at the time.
Is this your dad?
That's him right there. There's the cockeyed Louie. Although you never called him that.
Did you know your dad had his own Wikipedia page?
I did not. The one picture all the way in the far right corner, that's him and get arresting, right? Or he's getting arrested right there. See the guy behind him with the big hat on?
Yeah.
That's what my dad used to call the G-man. There was a FBI guy. Yeah, and that's my brother Johnny, Johnny passed in 2015. Johnny was a regular on the Howard Stern show.
Really?
Yeah, Johnny. There's my Uncle Frank up there in the corner. You can see him with Sammy Davis Jr. They're locking fingers. They're holding fingers with each other. My Uncle Frank. There's a really good picture of my Uncle Frank with a gun to Sammy Davis Jr.'s head. There's another one where there's another one with my Uncle Frank. He's got a gun to Sammy Davis Jr.'s head in apparently the dressing room because Sammy Davis Jr. doesn't have a shirt on. And my Uncle Frank was a hitman. That was his considered one of the best hitman in the world. Go down a little bit farther on the right. You see where you come right there. There's me and my brother Johnny with Marciano, Rocky Marciano. You had it there a minute ago.
Oh,
go back one. Okay, right down there, a little bit lower. So
right
there.
there.
Yeah, right there. That's me and my brother Johnny, my father, Rocky Marciano, and some mob guy. My brother died in a plane crash with Rocky Marciano in 1969 in Newton, Iowa.
I had no idea that he died in Newton, Iowa.
Yeah, it was Rocky Marciano, my brother Frankie, who was only 22 at the time, and the pilot. My brother Frankie was a hell of a guy. He was all-state baseball and basketball player at Dowling at 5'6". He was unbelievable. Went his freshman year to Arizona State, played with Reggie Jackson. And then my father got sick, so my brother quit school to take care of the family. There's my brother Johnny. And Johnny died.
Man, you guys do look alike.
No, he was much better looking than me. He was handsome Johnny, and he died of cancer in 2015. Lived out in L.A. He was quite a guy. There's another picture of him with he liked to screw with celebrities. He was good friends with Paris Hilton, and what do you call it? He actually had these little mini motorcycles he used to sell. And he got Rod Stewart's daughter to get on one and go on a red carpet, and she ended up crashing on it. It was hilarious. But he had been on Howard Stern. He had this guy that Howard Stern had a guy called Eric the Midget, and my brother Johnny was good friends with Eric the Midget. It was just complete chaos all the time. But yeah, I mean, I've had an interesting growing up as a kid where we lived on the South Side. My dad knew everybody, and I could remember Jimmy Hoff at the house. I could remember one time coming home. This is in the mid 60s. And my brother Frankie was in our driveway playing basketball with the 5 biggest black guys I've ever seen, Harlem Globetrotters. Because my dad knew Abe Saberstein, who actually grew up in the patch with my father. So, every day was something nuts like that all the time.
I want to back up for a second.
Yeah.
And double check. Chris, you asked if Willie knew that his dad had a Wikipedia page. I want to ask Willie, did you know there was a thing called Wikipedia?
That's actually a good question. Yeah, I heard something about it. Yeah, I don't know how it works out, how you get to it. I don't know if you just have to dream about it and then it just shows up. I don't know how you.
I was just wondering how back of the technology pile you really were.
You know what, Aaron? I try as hard as I can to try to figure shit out. I like I said, most of the stuff I do is I just back into it. I just kind of get on there by luck most of the time. It's me at Costco. How I end up there, no one knows, but I get there. Yeah.
So interesting article here. That's your dad too, right?
That's my dad. That's him right there.
Interesting. Have you ever? I mean, I'm sure that you know stories or whatever. Have you ever dove into the actual court cases or files or anything like that? And
I've seen a lot of the stuff. My brother Johnny was really into it. And I got an older brother, Tommy, who's 78 that knew a little bit more. But and my brother, he showed me stuff. My father, like the last 5 years of his life, he was the FBI was on him all the time. So they've got files and files of they used to cover him daily, where he would go and what he would do. And it was great. And as a kid, I mean, I understand. He died when I was 11. And people always said, "Did you know your dad was in the mob?" And I said, all I knew was that we never waited in line anywhere. That was my whole thing. I mean, everywhere we went, we got right in. And in town, he was a big guy. I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about Des Moines. I don't know if you ever heard of Babe Zignano.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, he was
Babe's
the best
restaurant. Yes.
Yeah, he was the best man at my father's wedding. And he was also the godfather to my brother Frankie. So we used to go to Babe's all the time. Everywhere we went, it was just come on in, Mr. Farrell, whatever you need, whatever you want. And my dad gave to the community quite a bit. I mean, paid off the mortgage at St. Anthony's Church back in the 40s. Started the Little League program on the South Side. I mean, he was but then he had this other side to him. It was kind of crazy, but. I mean, he was a great father. I mean, he came to all my games. I used to joke, but it wasn't that far from the truth. When I played Little League, I would get up to bat, and this is back in the '60s, and most of the umpires were volunteer dads and stuff. And I can remember getting up to bat, and my dad would be standing behind the backstop with a couple of his friends, sunglasses on, and they throw a pitch, and the umpire go strike, and I hear my dad go, then the umpire go ball. Ball 4. Just run around the bases. Do whatever you want. We don't care. So yeah. So we always got our way.
How old were you when your dad passed away?
I was 11, and then 13 when my brother Frankie got killed.
So
it was crazy time.
How hard was that?
I don't think I ever recovered. If you want the truth, I mean, they talk about arrested development. Things that happen. I don't think I advanced much farther than 13 or 14. I mean, my father was, he was very big in my life, but my brother Frankie was my, he was 9 years older than me. He was my idol. I mean, I kept his scrapbooks. He was a great athlete, and one of those guys that could have been a prick, but wasn't. You know what I mean? He took care of me a lot. I mean, made sure I was the bat boy, made sure I came to all his games, made sure, and he was a superstar, and could have been a prick, but never was. Just was one of those guys that just always. We lived in a house at the time, very small. And at night, when I would fall asleep on the couch or something, he'd pick me up, carry me to bed. And we would watch scary movies together. He was always the best big brother. So when he died, I was a mess. Maybe till even now. I mean, I don't know if I ever recovered, to be honest. But, there's so many people got the same story.
And from a development standpoint, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Scientifically speaking, the formative years for men is 11 to 15.
Yeah.
Right. 13's when things really get locked in and personality and behavior, and so I mean that makes total sense.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, I'm gonna be married 30 years. I've got a daughter that's 29. I think I'm a great father. I think I'm a great husband. But I mean, there's parts of me that I think about myself that's just not quite. You're right. Things that I get too involved with. My dog died prematurely. They had to put him to sleep while I was out of town, 8 years old, and a little Pomeranian named Cheeto. And it's been 2 weeks, and I still cry every night. I mean, it's nuts, but I mean, it's just, and I don't know if I'm a 69-year-old man. I mean, it's like, why am I feeling like that? But, it's just who I am, I guess. Yeah.
Well,
I didn't mean to bring the show to a screeching fucking halt.
No,
sorry about that.
No,
I'm gonna back you up. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Because we had to put down a dog about a month ago, and like it was probably only the second time my 15-year-old daughter's ever seen me cry, and I did it like 10 times during the week. Just stupid stuff, thinking about him, and
right now where I'm sitting right now. Normally, if I looked right over there by the door, he'd be laying right there, and he's not there. So it's like it's tough.
Yeah, no.
Like I always say, I love dogs so much. It's a weird my obsession. I believe that dogs. I made a joke about this. I said that dogs. I think they're the closest thing to God, because I really think that the dog and then backward spelling God, it's got something to do with that. So I believe dogs are in my life. I think God loves dogs the most. Then Down syndrome children, because they're God's children, and then dogs with Down syndrome, which I don't know if there are, but
I think we looked that up. I
think dogs with Down syndrome, and you looked it up, and they don't have it, but some of them look like they might have it.
So
I think Billy might have Down syndrome.
I think Billy might.
Different show. He's not listening, but Billy.
You're absolutely right about a dog and how much you love him and care for him.
Yeah.
A few summers ago, I think it was a few summers ago, we were sitting at home and Josh came down and he said, Bubba is really whimpering. And so Stacy took him to the vet, and the vet was like, I think he might have a serious problem in his back. Yeah. And Stacy called me. She's like, they want $500 to even just begin to start to look at it. And I'm like, pay it. Like, what do we, what's the alternative? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
And they ended up not charging us, but we had to take him to the vet in Ames, and all the kids piled in the car, and we drove to the vet with the kids. And the kids wanted to go in case, he was really bad. Turns out
Yeah.
Turns out he ran into a rock out back and jacked his back up, and that was the problem. But
it's still sad. Here's my problem. I did a show 2 years ago in Omaha at the Henry Dorley Zoo, and they showed me a turtle there, a tortoise named Fred that's 95. A tortoise. All right. What the fuck was God thinking when he was like giving animals ages? Tortoise, give a tortoise 100. What about a horse? How about 30? What about man's best friend? 8 to 12. What the fuck? I mean,
Right.
dogs should live to be 50.
Right.
They should. Well. I'll change it when I get up there.
Cockatoos and stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta hand those down in your will.
Yeah. They
You
squeal
gotta
on your
pass those down in
cockatoos.
your will and make arrangements for them.
Exactly.
Reminds me of that episode of King of Queens when Doug keeps going back to his
Rocky.
parents' house. And Rocky the dog. It's the same. And his wife's like,
She goes,
Doug, that dog is 35 years old. There's no
Exactly.
way. They've replaced the dog like 7 times.
one of the greatest episodes. I
so
was good
great.
friends with King of Queens. I used to work with Gary Valentine, who's Kevin James's brother.
Oh, yeah.
It was his
Yeah.
cousin Danny. And
Yeah.
I met him in Vegas like 20 years ago, and we became really good. Matter of fact, I introduced him to a couple girls that he dated for a while. But because we got into watching King of Queens big time. But that episode with the dog was hilarious.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, check the comment section over here.
Reverend Ray's hammering. Reverend Ray is an absolute valid listener
Yeah.
of Billy and Willie and anything else that you do. So he
Well, we
grew
gotta-
up going to Babes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Babes was the place to go when you went to prom. You went to Babe. You took your date to Babes. That or
Exactly.
Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
That or Noah's
Oh,
Ark.
yeah.
Yeah. And Mama Lacona's, which was owned by the same people, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Noah's Ark is Lacona's also, yes.
Yep.
Mm.
Let's take a break, and then I want to dive into your decision, how you started in comedy, where that began, what inspired that. So
Okay.
let's get a word from Revelton Distilling Company and Greenberry Realty, and then we'll be right back with Willie Farrell.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. When energy meets precision, anything is possible.
I'm Carter Hawley, the Chief Energy Officer of the Iowa State Cyclones. I'm full of energy on and off the court, but nothing gives me more energy than helping families find their dream home. And that's where Green Beret Realty comes in. They're more than just realtors. They're a team dedicated to getting things right for you and your family, just like we get it right on the court.
No basket. Foul's on the floor before the shot. Out of bounds.
Come on! Can you believe that? You can't take that away from me.
That call was absolutely terrible. Are you guys cautiously trying to be this bad? I mean, does your mom not love you?
Have you seen how old my partner is? My back hurts already from carrying him all night. And I've heard enough out of you.
So you're gone. Fine.
Jim, are you blind? Basket's good. We've got a three-pointer. Sometimes it takes a team to get the call right. And when you're buying a home, you want a team that makes all the right calls. That is Green Beret Realty. And here's the best part. When you buy or sell a home through Dan at Green Beret Realty and mention this ad, he'll make a donation to the We Will Collective, helping student athletes like me thrive on and off the court.
That call's so easy, even we can make it.
Green Beret Realty, because getting the call right means everything.
All right, and we're back with our guest, Willie Farrell, who's co-host of Billy and Willie's Workshop on the Three Beards Media Network, and of course, famous comedian, does all kinds of shows around the country, well-known in Des Moines. So let's start there, Willie. Tell me, first inkling of when you thought maybe this was something you wanted to do. How'd you get into that?
Well, first time I stepped on stage, and I think I said it to you, I was 1980. So that was 44 years ago at the Ingersoll Dinner Theater, and KCCI actually taped it. And I did that and went right out to LA after that, got in the Comedy Store, got in the Improv. Was out there for about a year or so. Then some family things came up, came back home, quit for a while, worked for my uncle's beer distributorship. And then finally in 84, I decided I'm going to give this a full-time shot, and I'll just keep doing it till, I can't pay my rent. And I haven't stopped. So I've been doing it over 40 years. And I just, I had a chance in the early 2000s to move to Vegas and get my own residency. And I didn't take it because I didn't want my daughter to grow up there. And the guy that did take it, went on to make millions of dollars and do real well for himself until he eventually got in trouble with the IRS and some other things. But, that would have been my big break, because I never really wanted to stay out in LA. I never wanted to go to New York. So I never really looked at it like, I was going to get a sitcom or anything. I just wanted to make a living. I could have probably made a really good living if I'd have stayed out in Vegas. It didn't, but you know what? I made a living. This is what all I've done, and it's been fine. I got a good life. I got a great life. I've been going to be married 30 years. I got a daughter that's 29, and I got no complaints. I'm right where I want to be, So, and I'm 69 years old. So, I think I win at this point. Hopefully I can keep doing this. As people always say, when you're going to retire. From what? My job consists of going someplace and getting on stage, and they give me a cocktail and I tell jokes and everybody pats me on the back, and then I go home. So I think I'm going to keep doing that as long as I can. I don't think I'll ever stop. I got a show Thursday night, as a matter of fact, at the Funny Bone. Billy's going to be in it too. It's for the police, the Des Moines Police Department. We're raising some money for them. So
is that open to the public?
Yes, it is.
No, well, all right.
You can get tickets at dmfunnybone.com. So that'll be a public show, and then I got a lot of corporates. I do a lot of corporate stuff, and then I'll be back out in Vegas probably sometime this summer.
Don't even think about it, Chris. I bet we can't afford his corporate rate.
I bet we could.
You can't afford that. We can't make that deal.
I work deals with me.
So,
I'm a guy.
1980, you're probably what, mid-20s?
I was 28 years old.
So what were you doing before that? And what that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around is.
I sold insurance. I had a cousin that sold insurance.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
I hate it. I absolutely. I sold copier systems for a while. Copy machines that you have to bring into people's office to demonstrate them. I was horrible at that.
Hold on. You demonstrated copiers.
The last time I actually brought a copier into this new development offices, and I was trying to show them how the copier worked. And at the time, they had toner that you had to put in that was actually ink, liquid ink, and the cartridge busted, and I got toner all over their new carpet, so that didn't go very well. I was horrible at it, and same with insurance. I would try to go talk to these people about buying insurance, and I ended up. I'm a kind soul. I was basically like, you don't really need this, you know what I mean? So it wasn't, didn't work out well, and thank God the comedy worked out. So that's about all I'm good for, really.
But were you just naturally just telling jokes, and then you just thought,
how did
that?
Well, the first time I went on stage at the Ingersoll in 1980 was my friends. I'm a South Side Italian kid. Grew up over by Columbus Park and hang out with all my buddies. And one of my best friends, my cousin Marty Morrow. If you know Johnny Morrow, was his younger brother.
Yeah, I've talked to Johnny. Yeah,
who has since passed. And Marty was my first cousin, and also my best friend. And Marty was the one who told me, you're funny. You ought to go tell stories. All the stuff we talk about, all these things you make up. And I said, okay. It was like a Monday night in January. And I said, well, I'll go do it. Yeah, sure. Why? You can't? So I get there that night, and the place is packed. And there are like 400 people in this place. And I went outside and I said, I'm not fucking doing this. And all my friends are, all these Italian guys are like, well, we paid $5 again. You got to pay us back. I'm like, I ain't that kind of money. So I said, I'll give it a shot. So I get on stage. And before I got on, there was a heckler in the crowd. And of course, this is 1980. No one knows what a heckler is or how to handle them. And so he's jacking up everybody that gets on stage. And just like he starts talking and they don't know how to, they don't know how to. So I get up there and he starts heckling me. And of course, the Southside Dago kid comes out and I destroy the guy. And next thing I know, the next day in the paper, I get this big write-up about up-and-coming comic Willie Farrell. They said he had the now listen. They said he had the what was it the comedy timing of Freddie Prinze with the look of Tony Danza or something like that. I mean, this is a wonderful article. I got it somewhere. I could find it, but yeah. So then I decided, hell, I'll go out to LA, and I went out there and I did well. But then, close family like I got, things kind of got complicated, so I had to come home. But there you go. Yeah. And then, like I said, then like in 1984, 85, I'm doing these other jobs I can't fucking stand. I'm working for my uncle, beer distributorship, delivering beer and doing the bottle returns. And finally I said, yeah, God, if anything comes around, I'm going to do it. And down in Kansas City at Stanford and Sons and up in Minneapolis, I just started going there back and forth so I could stay, in Des Moines. And it just kept getting more and more work. And that was basically it. So. And it was a lifetime ago. It's 40 years ago. So, and I've just been doing the same thing ever since. But I've had a wonderful life doing it.
So, yeah. So, it's probably a question you get a lot, but of all the places you've done comedy, kind of what's your favorite place to go? Where the crowd seem to respond to you best, I guess.
Las Vegas, without a doubt. I love, and I've been working there over 30 some years, and I was just there a month ago. I absolutely love working in Las Vegas because you get crowds from everywhere. You get with me, excuse me. As far as what I do, I get into the crowd. I like Vegas. You get such a potpourri of different people. You know what I mean? You get so many different. You can have a group of Japanese people over here and a group of lesbians over here and blind people. You get everything. And for me, that's what makes it fun is when you can just mix up everything. And, it's, I get a little cutting edge. I might say some things that aren't politically correct sometimes, but they don't, they let it go. It's fun. You can be yourself. And I don't try to hurt anybody. I don't try to make anybody feel bad. But, I call shit out when I see it. And it's that's my funnest thing. I so look forward to working in Vegas to this day. And then like a funny bone in Des Moines or when Teehee's was open, I like to go there and try some new stuff out. But yeah, those are my favorite places.
I know we've talked a little bit about this on your other podcast, but do you you weave jokes in and out, but you work the crowd as well. How explain how hard that is. You have no idea who you're going to ask or what they're going to give you, and it's just, to me, I think is the best type of comedy because you have to be so quick witted and be able to just come up with something right off the top of the head. You're not preparing anything with that.
No, the funny thing about that is that started in a way I didn't expect it to. I was always trying to work material, but when they first opened the Spaghetti Works here in town back in the 80s, Ben Ulan was the one that actually got him to do comedy all the time. And so Ben and I would be there all the time. And I was there after a while, I got to be 3 nights a week. And same crowds. It's Des Moines, Iowa. You didn't have that much to choose from. So after a while, I got to where I was working on new material. Well, you couldn't write material that fast. That was funny. So I figured I got to figure something out. So I decided I'll just talk to the crowd. And I found that I was good at it because I think what makes me a good, as far as improvising on stage, is I'm a good listener. A lot of times you'll get guys that'll go into the crowd and you can see while they ask questions, you can see they're not really listening. They're in their mind, they're trying to get to what's my next joke? What's my next joke? Where am I going? Where with me, I'm trying to actually listen to what you're saying and I'm trying to respond honestly to what it is. I'm trying to, and it's a tough thing because, you're walking a really, really thin tightrope when you do that kind of stuff. But for some reason, I found out I was good at it. And it was so weird because when I was doing it in the 80s and 90s, it was frowned upon. I mean, I would go to clubs and they would say, listen, we hear you're really great with the crowd, but we don't want that. We want just your straight material. And, you know, we don't want all that, you know, going out. And so I would weave it in and out. And after a while, I won a lot of them over. They're like, okay, maybe it's not material, but you seem to be getting a lot of laughs. So, you know, they would let me. And now there's comics out there that are actually putting out specials called crowd work. You know, that's all they do. And you know, and they're applauded for it. And I think they should be. But, you know, it's like, well, I was doing it when people were telling me don't do that. But I don't know. It's just I think I got a gift for it. And I just and for me, it's like a lot of times, you know, you do a joke, you know, after a while, say something Italian, get in the trunk, gets like, fuck, I don't want to say that anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even my new material, I mean, I like when I come up with a good bit, but for me, it's got to be it. I want the show to be funny for you, but I want the show to be funny for me too. And sometimes what's funny for me is when I take myself out on a ledge and somehow I can pull it back and you know, and make it work. So that's how I've done my entire career is just you know, I'm actually, you know, proud of what I can do when I work a crowd. And now it's gotten to the point where, especially here in Des Moines, I mean, that's what people expect from me. They don't want me to, they don't want to hear my material. They want to see what I'm going to say about Bob over there who works for Nationwide.
Well, I would guess that's what makes you pretty marketable for the corporate show.
Oh yeah. I mean, without a doubt. Yeah. You know, what's funny though, is like, someone will come and they'll want me for corporate, and then they'll come see me at the Funny Bone, and I'm dropping F-bombs here and F-bombs there, and they're like, well, we don't know if we can use you for a corporate because we need it. I'm like, I don't have Tourette's. You know, I don't have to cuss. You think I have to say? I don't have to say. It's not like I just say fuck because I got to. I mean, I say it because I can. But you know, I can do a court. I mean, I've done shows for my church. I've done shows for St. Anthony's. I've done shows for Dowling. I mean, I don't have to cuss. I cuss when I can. I like to cuss, but I don't have to.
I remember the first time I met Bill in a serious manner was he did a fundraiser for we were raising money at my job, and he offered to do a show at the Funny Bone and then raise money and so forth. And he said, well, let me ask you a question. He said, what version do you want? Do you want the PG version, or where can I go with this? And I was like, I had no idea that like that was like an option, right? You know,
exactly.
But it makes sense. Know. Like, you know, if you're doing a corporate gig or whatever else, you may not want to necessarily go into certain areas or whatever else. So yeah, but it never dawned on me before of that.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny as things have, the lines have been becoming more blurred nowadays. I mean, it used to be, you know, PG was PG and you had to, or G sometimes. And now it's like, well, hey, watch TV, watch a sitcom at 7:00. They don't say fuck, but they beep out fuck. You know what I mean? Right. You can hear them say, you know, what the beep, you know, I mean, it happened. So it's, you know, the world has become a little less, you know, and it's so funny because I'm not a Trumpster at all, but he's really good for comedy. I mean, you know, I did a show a couple of weeks ago in Vegas, and my opening act was this Mexican guy that was really funny. And he actually showed T-shirts, MAGA T-shirts, but the MAGA stand for Mexicans always get across. And and then he said he'd say they're $25, but now they're $30 because you know the tariff. And so I mean, it was so funny because I'd get on here and say, hey, get an hand for Roger. Come on, clap. He's not going to be here next time. So you know, it's you know, that's that. I like that. I mean, that period of time where people were getting canceled for things, it was, you know, horrible. That's not what the United States is all about. You know what I mean? Just have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw that Bill Maher went and met him.
I didn't care for that. I'm a big Bill Maher fan. I watch him all the time. I think he's wonderful. I honestly, and if you watch the show, when he goes to where he talks to the two guys, the one guy kind of called him out and basically said, you know, he's not your friend. He used you for a PR stunt. Right. And Bill Maher got fucking pissed. And but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, come on, Bill. You can't say all this shit about him, and all of a sudden now, oh, he's a great guy. And the fact of the matter, where he said, where he's not like he is in the public. He's a great guy. Well, what the fuck's that tell you then? You know what I mean? I don't need a president that has two faces. You know what I mean? Bill, you think it's because he's nice to you? You think that's okay? I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I don't know. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, I was a little taken aback with his take I saw today.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I couldn't believe he went there. It was like, hey, the fact that all the shitty stuff that Trump said about him, he had him sign the paper, gave him an autograph. Yeah. I mean, what's that mean? I don't get that. What do you forgive him now?
Yeah,
I grew up Italian. I mean, the thing is, I don't get where people can say shit about you, and then all of a sudden, you got to let it go. No, you don't let it. Every time I see Ted Cruz,
I was just going to ask you about Ted Cruz.
He called your fucking wife ugly. Are you kidding me? I mean, I'll tell you what. Not will I forgive it. Do you think my wife, if I had to talk to this guy again, she said, "Oh yeah, so the guy that said I'm ugly, you're okay with that?" Give me a break. I mean, I don't. What a pussy. What do you? How do you do that? How do you let that go? I mean, seriously.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
Yeah. No, he's not from the south side of Des Moines.
No, if you don't know how to hold a fucking grudge, Italians are known for two things: spaghetti and revenge. That's what we know. So. Yeah.
Oh goodness. So.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Well, are we taking a break here? Because I can come back with it. I was going to ask, when you go on the road these days, are you? Because I know it's changed over the year. It used to be you'd go on the road as the headliner, and the clubs would provide a feature and all of that kind of stuff. And now a lot of people are taking features with them. What do you do, and which do you prefer to do?
I like to bring a feature with me. I've done that for years. I've always, but the problem is now a lot of these places you work, like in Vegas. When I played Vegas or Atlantic City, which I used to play a lot, I always brought my two guys. I would bring like the round guy, or I'd bring Dwayne Clark, and they would let me do that. But now the problem is in Vegas, there's 1,000 comics live there, so it's like why are we going to pay a guy and put him up when we don't have to, when there was a bunch of people here? So now. I can't do that anymore. Although, I mean, there's still, like, if I do a one-nighter here or there, or if I do a corporate and they want another, I can bring somebody with me. I mean, I make sure that that's what I do. And half the time I do it just for the mere fact that I don't want to drive, and I want to get drunk and have them drive me home or whatever, So that's what I do.
So Bill's job, you're a designated driver.
I have to. I have narcolepsy anyway, so I can't do it. I don't know.
Bill's your chauffeur, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, me and Billy have done a bunch of gigs like that. I've over the years, I've had these guys, my little friends that I take with me. My newest guy is a comic magician named Jonathan May. He's a young kid. He's like 40. Young kid.
He's 40.
That's where I'm at. But he's great. I take him with me, and he has no problems just driving, and Uncle Willie falls asleep on the way home, and we're okay with that.
All right, we will take a break. We're going to get a break and get our a word from Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage, and then we'll come back with the Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage question of the pod, Willie, which I have for you.
Okay.
So let's get a word from Kyle Lehman, and then we'll be back with Willie Farrell.
Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546.
All right, and we're back. All right, Willie, question for you is, what is the weirdest or most unexpected thing that's ever happened to you during a show?
I would say, and this is one show this happened at the Funny Bone. Me playing with the crowd. There was a person out in the thing that had a baseball coat on, a hat, and I said, "Sir, what do you do for a living?" And she said, "I'm a she." And I mistaken a guy for a girl. I felt really bad, so I said, "I'm sorry." So I went back to my material. Then all of a sudden, I saw a guy in the front, and I said, "What?" I said, "So what do you do for a living?" He says, "I'm disabled or whatever." And I said, "Well, what's wrong?" And he stood up. He had one leg, and I mean, he had one leg. I mean, there wasn't even a stump on the other side. Just he had one fucking leg, and he stood up, and I pointed out that I didn't see a man with one fucking leg. So yeah, the worst thing that ever happened to me in corporate shows. I had two bad things happen to me, and these were insane. I was doing this one corporate show, and I get there, and 1,000 people. I mean, it's jam-packed, big room, got a big stage, they got a big screen up there, and they're showing slides of just different shows and different events they've had. You know what I mean? How they do picnics they had, so finally he's getting ready to introduce me, and they put up the last slide, and it's this woman sitting at a table at a desk. She's kind of leaned over, and all of a sudden I see underneath her Esther, 1922 to 2004, whatever. She died. Esther died, and she was their secretary or whatever. And so this guy says, "Oh, before we continue shows, y'all know Esther's gone. We loved her, and she worked for the company for 47 years." His voice is breaking while he's saying this, and so anyway, I miss you. So bring up a little comedy now. Let's bring up Willie Farrell. And so I walk out there. That's bad enough. But I walk out there. No one turned off the slide. So I'm standing there, and Esther she's on me. Esther's on me. I mean, you can see right by where my belly button's at. It's where the day she died, 2004. And you can't, as a comic, say, "Hey, can you turn this bitch off?" I mean, that's. And finally, it took about 30 seconds. They finally turned Esther off. So that was bad, and I thought that would be the worst. And then about a year later, I'm doing a show, corporate show, at the Latin King, and it's for some company. There was some kind of radio group or something. And before the show, I got material. A lot of times I have people for my corporates. I said, "Give me some material about people. It doesn't have to be funny, but so and so works here. So and so is a Hawkeye fan. Ask Joe about the time he ran over the mailbox, whatever." And I work off the material. So I'm getting ready to go on. All of a sudden, this drunk lady comes up to me and says, "Ask about Bob and Susan. Ask about Bob and Susan." So I said, "All right." So I write down Bob and Susan. So now I'm doing the show, and I'm killing. I'm fucking killing. A matter of fact, one of the guys that was working there was Mike Pace, the guy that you see on the Iowa Realty, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm doing the show, and I'm murdering. I'm killing. I mean, it's one of my better shows. I picked on Mike. They had something about Mike Pace. I picked on him. Finally, I get to about the end. There's like 5 minutes left, and I'm just rocking and rolling, and I'm feeling so good. And I finally said, "So anyway, what about this Bob and Susan?" As soon as I said that, this woman gets up, cries, and runs out of the room. And then I see this guy put his head on the table, just slammed his head on the table. Bob and Susan were having an affair, and it turned out. So now I'm up there going, "Hey, I ain't Kreskin. I didn't know about this shit. I didn't do this. Someone get." So and finally, I worked my way out of it, and finally, the president came up to me afterwards and said, "You didn't know what." So, but I've learned after that if someone drunk comes up to you and gives you something to say, don't use it. Don't use it. So
vet your leads.
There you go. There you go.
Oh God.
That's funny.
Did you not do a commercial for the Latin King? Am I remembering that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Me and Bobby Tershi.
Yes.
Yeah, me and Bobby. He did. It was a while back, and because Bobby used to stutter and shit, and I think I made fun of him. He tried to. I did the commercial, and then he tried to say something. I told him to shut up or something. The best commercial I ever did was with Jim Zabel. It was for Christopher's, and it was a whole thing. They wrote a whole thing for us, and finally I went into the studio. I said, "This is not going to work." I said, we ad-libbed something, and me and Zabel ad-libbed this thing. It was really kind of funny. We were talking about Christopher, how great it is, and he was doing, "I love it, I love it, I love it." I say, "Hey, Jim, how about you? It's your turn to buy a round." And all you hear is like footsteps, and then you hear a car start, and he pulls out. Yeah, for a 90-year-old guy, he sure is fast.
I think the Latin King restaurant one might be the first time I ever like heard of you. That might
Yeah.
be
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
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 So
God, that was probably 20 years ago or so. Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got one last segment, then we'll get you out of here, Willie. This
Okay.
segment is inspired by a previous guest, Steph Copley, who famously told a host on this show to shut the fuck up so she could finish her point because we wouldn't stop talking.
Mhm.
So we decided to turn it into a sponsored segment where we invite people to donate to the Young Women's Resource Center in honor of Steph Copley. So we'll get a word from Steph about the mission that Young Women's Resource Center does, and then when we come back, Willie, Aaron and I have to shut the fuck up, and you can say whatever you want.
Okay.
I would prefer that you take that time to make fun of Aaron, but you know, but
goofy ass Iowa State.
Yeah.
Whoa, Kappa Schwenata. Okay.
All right, so let's get a word.
Help you out.
And then when we come back, you can make fun of Aaron.
You got it.
Hey everybody, it's Steph Copley, the woman behind the STFU segment on the Old Man Strength podcast. When I told the guys I wanted to sponsor this segment, they recommended that I make a charitable donation instead, so that's what I did. I chose the Young Women's Resource Center in Des Moines, Iowa. They're a nonprofit that supports, educates, and advocates for girls and young women ages 10 to 24. Their whole goal is to make sure that these young women become strong, self-confident, and successful. And if you know me at all, you know that aligns with my goals as well. If you're interested and would like to donate, check them out at ywrc.org and donate today. And remember, don't forget to STFU and listen every once in a while. Thanks.
All right, we're back.
Okay.
We will shut the fuck up, and you can say whatever you want.
Okay. I would just like to say, yeah, well, thanks for letting an old guy get on here, and I'd like to thank you, Chris, for letting me do the podcast I do with Billy. Although he makes everything so fucking awkward all the time. I'm 69 years old. I don't even want to talk about sex, let alone hear about how he like fucks dolls and shit. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, I've been enjoying this. Like I said, I don't know exactly what it is we're doing, but it seems to be fun. You guys, I don't know where you're at. Aaron looks like he might be just in his basement by himself with his mother upstairs telling him to turn down the lights or something. Aaron, are you married?
Yep.
Really? Hard to believe. Okay. Children?
One.
You have a child? Okay. All right. Well, anyway, it's just nice to just be around you young kids, and we'll just keep doing this as long as we can. Someday, maybe we'll meet Aaron. We don't have to, but we could. But if you ever get out of the house, we could come out and meet. You look like a kind of guy that'll drink a beer or 10, and we'll have a good time. I've seen Chris. Chris is, I like about Chris is I know he's a religious fella because I know he goes to church all the time, and for a religious guy, he seems says fuck a lot for a guy that's. I don't get it, but that's him. So thanks, and let's do this again. Let's find a time when I could be. I'm trying to watch the fucking Cubs game, and you got me doing this shit. No, but still, it was a pleasure.
Well, at least I didn't make you come over to my house like Bill does every week.
No, I will go back over there because I miss Brig. I miss the little dog. I do miss Bill's dog. Brig is the most in shape fucking dog I've ever seen. If Evander Holyfield was a dog, it'd be Bill's dog. The dog is he's got like 2% body fat. But other than that, I don't like going there because Bill's. I keep on thinking I'm going to find somebody dead in a spare bedroom.
Well, I've said this before. I every Tuesday I literally sit behind the scenes and I just rub my eyes. I'm crying so hard.
Gosh, it's getting weirder and weird. You know what? So tonight we went to watch the wrestling. We will be talking about that quite a bit because it got awkward a few times. So you'll hear it Tuesday.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, everybody. This is another episode of Old Man Strength brought to you by the AKC Andrew McAllen's Marketing Studios and Revelton Distilling Company, Kyle Naiman at Wintrust Mortgage, and Dan Douglas at Greenberry Realty. Willie Farrell, you can catch him clearly at the Funny Bone on
Thursday night. We're doing a show. Thursday night at the Funny Bone. It's for the Des Moines Police Department. We're doing a fundraiser. Come on out. It's
Are you going to make fun of Paul Parisic?
I think I would love to. Danny T's going to be there. Bill Blank's going to be there. Sam Herchek's going to be there. It's going to be a good show.
Perfect.
Come on up.
And then you can check him out, obviously, on Bill and Willie's workshop every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, if you're fucking
I don't have
weird.
any of that stuff, I don't think, but I hear it's good.
Are we streaming on LinkedIn yet?
Nah, I don't. LinkedIn.
We post clips on LinkedIn, I can tell you that. So
Do we really? God
yeah,
damn,
well,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Not a fucking
TikTok, post some stuff on TikTok.
No.
So
I told you to send me some of that shit in the mail, but I haven't seen it yet. So
we'll do. We'll get right on it.
okay.
All right, everybody. Appreciate it. We are out of here.
Old man strength, built to last. Try to break me, you won't get past. Ain't no quit, ain't no doubt. You don't know